All right, good people. What's going on, people around the world? This is Big Matt from Matt and Todd Show. Hey, we'd like you to thank for taking some time out of your day to stop by here on our channel. We do a live Sunday night videos here on YouTube. We cover college football, and with basketball season coming, guys, we're going to be into that too. There's no doubt that we bring wall-to-wall coverage. This is unrehearsed, no actors, just two good old boys just talking football. Now, tonight, if you stop by here, I do appreciate you. Now, I'm looking at Joe Klatts, his 12-team college football playoff, his bracket. This is Breaking the Huddle show. So right up front, I'd just like to say Klatt is very arguable most of the time. I do agree with him a lot of times, but not all the time. So this is one of the cases. Just hang around here and let's see what we got. Maybe some of you've already seen this, but I'd like some of your takes on how this is kind of going. And what do you think about this 12-team playoff? And also, if there's going to be some rematches of things that we're already seeing. So let's go ahead and hit the play button here, and we'll see what he's got to say.
So let's talk about more the structure of what the playoff could be once it's expanded with the rankings as we got them on Sunday. Let's take a look at what my model would be with the rankings as they happened on Sunday. Now, you might see some differences right off the bat. Here's the biggest difference. In my model, folks, you've got to incentivize conference championship.
Okay, so right off the bat, his first point there is to give incentive to being a conference champ. I don't have a problem with that. I've talked about that for a long time. Now we know that wouldn't have played into the hand for Alabama a couple years ago when they got LSU again because they wound up getting a shot at them again. They didn't even win the SEC that year. But, fortunate for Alabama, they wound up winning that game. So being a conference champ should be important. I think that it brings more importance to the conference, and it also brings some television exposure to each of these conference games. Now, of course, we'll go over here to the Big Ten. Now, Michigan goes up and they take care of business against Iowa, handled them pretty easy. Harbaugh's on a great run right now. So Cincinnati, AAC champs, they beat Houston. It's a great game. We was excited about this game. I really enjoyed it. And Pitt, hey, you got Pitt over here. Now, they're another conference champion that won out to go over there and win, beat Wake Forest, which is, Wake Forest has been pretty good this year. They're not world beaters, but they're okay. Baylor takes care of you, 11th ranked here, Oklahoma State on that last play. Senior diving for the line. Man, I'm just felt terrible about that. I wish he would have made it. Either way, it would have been good for me. And Ohio State, Notre Dame, kind of at large teams, and that's what he's going to get to. So I would like to say yes to make an incentive for the conference games to be important, because to be a conference champ, that should put you in a playoff bracket. I like it. Let's keep going.
More so than what we have done in the past. That's how those games retain value. Remember, all the commissioners and even networks that are involved with those games, they need to make sure that the championship games retain value. So you have to incentivize winning that game. How do you incentivize winning that game? By seeding the top 6 seeds in a 12-team playoff only with champions. Okay? So you're going to have the 6 best champions across college football.
Now, your top 4 here, they're all conference champs, and then 5 and 6. Now, the difference over there was in the top 6 from earlier in the day right there, they had Notre Dame and Ohio State at 5 and 6. Now, he has rewarded 5 Utah and 6 Pitt for both being conference champs. Okay, I dig it.
And you're going to take those teams first before anybody else and rank them 1 through 6. When you do that, this is what you get. Alabama number 1, Michigan number 2, Cincinnati 3, and Baylor 4. Those top 4 conference champs would then get a bye. Again, we're incentivizing those games, those conference championships. 5 is Utah, the Pac-12 champ, and the ACC champ is 6.
So if you're the 2 kind of at-large conference champions, which I would assume that you would come by this by being a lower-ranked team in the AP or however they was going to handle this, and you would have to play that first week. So if this turned out, Pitt plays Oklahoma State. I like the matchup, and Utah plays Michigan State. Again, I kind of like this matchup too, guys. What do you think?
They are Pitt. Then you take the 6 next best teams that didn't win the conference championships, okay, and those are your at-large teams. And you see those right after that. So 7 through 12, and then this is what we've got. Georgia would be number 7. Notre Dame is 8. Ohio State is 9. Ole Miss 10. Oklahoma State 11. And Michigan State at number 12. The best part about the first round, folks, is that the higher seed hosts the game. So
now I do. That's a good idea. I would like to include maybe how could we involve the bowl games in these? So Georgia, Ole Miss, both from the South, SEC. Maybe you could put them in. Maybe not at home, but what if they can meet in the middle somewhere and play at UAB Stadium? I think that UAB, the new stadium here in the middle, could to capacity to have Georgia and host Ole Miss in Georgia. I'm just throwing that out there.
Even the conference champions, Pitt and Utah, they're incentivized to be one of those champions because you're either going to get a bye or you're definitely going to get a home game. Then it incentivizes being a great team like Georgia or Notre Dame, wins above everything, and they were able to also have home games, and this is how it would fall out. One caveat to this is that after the first round, in order to avoid a one seed like Alabama having to play Ohio State if Michigan State were to win, or Michigan having to play Georgia if Oklahoma State were to win, is that I would reseed after the first round. So whoever won these games, the next 4 teams, I would take those 4 teams. The lowest seed would then face number 1.
See what he's saying here. And you got to leave 1 through 4 alone because they're bye that week. He's talking about these other teams, 8, 9, 5, and 12, 7, and 10, 6, and 11 playing. And however they won, he would then do a reseed of 5, 6, 7, 8 because 4 of these teams are going to go out. You're going to have these 4. You're going to have these 4 left right here. Somebody's got Bama, somebody's got Baylor, somebody's got Cincy, and somebody's got Michigan. So he would redo these numbers to decide. It may not just be Ohio State. Sorry, if Ohio State just wins, they may not play Alabama. That's what he was saying. If Michigan State winds up winning here, was going to be right for them to jump up and have to play number 1 that quick. So he's going to redo, that's what he's suggesting, redo the numbering after this first game. So these guys over here, your at-large teams, along with your 5 and 6 other conference champs play. Okay, I'm going along with it.
Next highest seed would face 2, and so on and so forth. So that's what my playoff would look like, folks. But again, the biggest caveats and the biggest importance laying on the fact that we've got to incentivize conference champions. So we're going to take the 6 best champions across the sport, and we're going to say those are the top 6 seeds, and then we're going to go play from there.
All right. If you want to take out the human factor in some of this, and I think that's what a lot of the guys kind of gripe about, I'm just not sure how else you could really do that, not unless you're going to go back to the BCS. And they griped about that, so we go to this. So, to take a 12-team playoff, and then he's talking about not just doing that, but then after those other teams win, your at-large teams over there, your runner-ups, then you're going to renumber them again. So who's going to do that? It'd have to be people. So he kind of confuses me sometimes. He wants one thing, and then he comes up with something like this to try to take people out of the element. Well, you're adding more for people to be able to choose, and they say people are biased and that kind of thing. So, we just have to be careful about that. And also, we could go on and say, while we're on here, I'd like to say, too, Acho had said something earlier in the day about an SEC bias, and J-Boy and a lot of those other guys have just really blowed up about it. And it used to bother me some, but I've just kind of grown to expect it because that's just what they think. That's what people that lose think. Therefore, if your team is not the one winning, you're going to feel that way. Now, when Texas and Oklahoma come to this conference, then they're going to be part of that. And then you won't hear nothing outside of them about it. So it's just people that felt smited by it, by you're not going to get in just because you're not SEC. Well, the whole thing stems from the whole idea Georgia being 4. Well, why is Georgia 4? Well, who else is going to be 4? So if you're going to make an argument for another team to come in and be 4, then who else are you going to put it for? Now, Acho seemed to keep adding this intelligent design to say, well, when Georgia beat this team, they were this number. When Georgia played that team, they were this number. Guys, you can't do that, and we expect more out of them. I'm just a regular old talking head up here in North Alabama. This guy is very intelligent, went to college, professional, and he gets paid a lot of money to do, kind of what I'm doing now. So you would expect better. No, because when those teams were ranked at the moment of the week that they played, say if Georgia played a number 10 team, we could go back and look at their schedule. At the time, they were ranked 10. Well, towards the end of the year, South Carolina, for example, or Florida, We found out that they weren't really good at all, okay? But you can't hold that against them at the end of the season, because at the moment, that's where they were ranked. Because as the season goes on, they lose players and things just change. So holding somebody accountable to the end of the season, say, well, at the end of the season, you played one ranked team, because that's the only one that really panned out. Okay, Georgia played Clemson first game of the year, and I think it gave everybody a false idea that they were going to be this world beater. Clemson, I mean, because of DJ Ugolay. He was going to be great. He's coming in to replace Trevor. He had a pretty good game last year. There was a lot of assumptions. So assumptions only do those one things. They make a butt out of me and you both. And that's kind of what they've done. So this whole parallel, you could just really take it back in time and just change it all out to this. Georgia, Clemson play the first game. It gives false impressions of how good Georgia really was. Because for the past several years, yes, Florida got to play in it, a year or two ago, and those kind of things for the SEC, because it's the East. And the East has not been strong in many, many years. The West has been dominant with it. It's been Alabama or even Auburn at some point. It makes a false pretense, and we assume a lot of things. And then you have preseason rankings if you want to rewind some more, which I'm not going to. And it's kind of but it's something to talk about, and it's something for us to talk about, which is what we're doing now. We're talking about it. So you just got to cool your jets on this SEC bias, because when the SEC gets in these games, 11 times in the past 15 years, they've been champs. And it's not been Alabama toting them consecutively all the time. Auburn had done it. And we have to remember, too, that Auburn blowed a game against FSU, So was it Calvin Benjamin made that catch in the back of the end zone. So Auburn almost won that game. Would have been 2 titles for them. So just too many good players in the SEC. And you could say, well, it's biased and that's why they let them in. Well, they've only got 1 loss. Now, they did get their doors blowed off. Out pretty good, because this defense is supposed to be stopping everybody. Well, parentheses there, we got to go back to the Clemson game and remember what we saw. We based a lot of things on that game. I did too. So when we first started doing our show, we had Oklahoma and Georgia possibly playing for the national championship, and Georgia's hung around and may get to be in it. But as you go through the season, guys, it's just not, it don't work that way. Therefore, Bama's won. Who else are you going to put in there? Georgia just took a bad lick on the chin. They've been one all year long. Yes, maybe they shouldn't have been one, but they were. And who else is going to be one? Bama's been sputtery this year, had a lot of offensive line troubles. Ohio State has been high-flight offense, and Michigan just went up there and wore them out. They couldn't move the ball, couldn't do anything. Guys, they even tried to put Iowa in this darn thing, and Purdue shut that down. So, again, there's just nobody else to put in there. Who else can you make go in this playoff? Who are they going to put in it for? So, anyway, that's all I got. It's Big Matt signing out. And y'all come over and catch us Sunday live at 6 o'clock. And we'll catch you guys then.